All right, shalom, shalom. First things first, I'm going to give all honor and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem Rachak say Barakat Yahweh, Barakat Yahushai, Barakat Yahweh, Barakat Yahushai, Barakat Yahweh, Barakat Yahushai, Bahashem Rachak. And we give double honor to our apostles and our elders, which are the apostle elders, a great millstone, which feed us with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding through spirit and power of Yahweh Yahushai. And we're in the year 2024, which is the hopeful year of Jacob's trouble. So let's jump right into this lesson. As you see the video on the screen, this is going into the comparisons of ancient Egypt and America today, because I was watching the Apostles video going into the facts of vocab Malone, trying to not compare this to Egypt, because these guys don't understand. They can't even understand reincarnation. So if people reincarnate, kingdoms can reincarnate. People, generations, whole generations can reincarnate. That's why it says this generation shall not pass till all be fulfilled. So Yahushua was saying that, guess what? That this generation is going to be around in the time of that judgment. That's why Yahushua told the Sadducees and Pharisees that you shall see me come with the thousands of angels, you know? So that's a precept right there to show you that, guess what? That those men were going to be reincarnated, and they were going to come back in the time of the judgment, and Yahushua coming into glory to deliver the elect out of the four corners of the planet Earth, and they were going to be unbelievers, okay? They might not have been in the same stead that they were in, coming back in a different reincarnation, but they were going to see the Son of Man coming with the thousands of angels. And that goes into the last days, okay? The last and final trump, when Yahushua calls up the elect in the Abba ship, okay? So this video is fair use. It's about 9-year-old video. I was looking through different things, comparisons from America and ancient Egypt, because this place is ancient Egypt's, the spirit of it coming back. Just like they say, oh, the spirit of John. No, it wasn't talking about the spirit of John. It was talking about John himself coming back. That's how we know John came back. Elijah came back as John, and John came back as Abba Bivens. Okay, because of what he did, he turned the hearts of the children back to the fathers, the true children. Because these guys they're worshiping the same old played out doctrine that's been out for generations and generations, that has no tangibility to it. It doesn't have any answers on life. It doesn't have any fruit. It says you shall tell a tree by its fruit. Christianity has not shown you any kind of fruit that's tangible. It ain't changed your life. It ain't helped you get better. You see some of the most heinous and most perverse things going on in the church right now. Men's pastors sleeping with men's women, wives, pastors sleeping with this, sleeping with that, sodomitic activities going on. The list goes on and on, man. The fruit is there. I don't have to sit here and pull out the dirty laundry. You can go look it all up for yourself. But when it comes to the real name and the truth is going to shine forth. That's why that's how we know the truth that we speaking with you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, being the Israelites that was spoken and prophesied of to fall away and to come back. This truth has changed our lives, man. I'm a better man now. I don't want to know where the hell I'd be without this truth. I don't want to know. That's how potent this thing is. You don't even want to know the type of decrepit person you would be, man. That's why you thank Yahweh Shem Shai for allowing us to know this name and allowing us to know this truth. It's not something that we're just in here and we have it by no means or by nothing. This is a blessing, man. We could be bugged out here, man, doing who knows what, and we don't want to know. But let's go ahead and play this video. This is fair use. This is not for any kind of monetary gain. This is just to show comparisons. They're gonna speak on certain things because I want vocab, because vocab doesn't do his research, man. The man doesn't do his research. Because why am I pushing this out? Because these Edomites, because who do you think writes those biblical commentaries? Edomites do, that look like Edomites, maybe have Edomite names, but they look up their research and they see with a somewhat of not a spiritual eye, but a carnal eye, because it says you can by process of elimination. Okay, but when it goes back to vocab, he don't do his research, man. Because these Edomites, I could show you, and I'm going to show you the research that I found. But for vocab, if he does see this video, that he can see that other Edomites know and can compare this place unto Egypt. They might not be able to tie everything with the precepts that we have, but they see and they can understand, well, there's some what does it say? Some stark comparisons. There's some high level comparisons between America and ancient Egypt. So let's go ahead and play this.
And even like Egypt. Let me give you a
And
couple
you
of
got to
these.
pick
Number
out the
one,
bones. Some of these they go off on. Some of these I didn't find any kind of resources for them. They were just saying it. I don't know. They didn't quote their resources. That's why it's always good to say your resources and where you find things. That way others can find them too and look into them. But I seen the little things here and there. But for the sake of the video, I just jumped into it. But the ones that you can just pick the bones out. But he makes comparisons and good comparisons here and there.
this is an Egyptian picture. The Great Pyramid in Giza, Egypt. We have the Great Pyramid on the back of the $1 bill. The all-seeing eye of the pyramid is said to be the all-seeing eye of God. However, in Egypt, it was Horus or Ra who was looking down on the nation.
So because you go into Aleister Crowley, you go into these elites, they the ones that really run the hand behind the scenes, they're going back to ancient Egypt. They're not worried about the Most High for real. So that would be comparison unto the eye of Horus. It's not talking about the eye of the Creator, okay? Because they didn't worship the Son, the God of Moses, okay? That's why he says, "Tell your God." What did Pharaoh say? "Tell your God to pray for me," because they thought of gods as something that they could just jump ship or worship. But the Most High is not looking for that. He has his people. He has who he chosen and who he's dealing with, and that's a consistent factor. The Most High is not changing, man. He's not indoctrinating people. It's been the same people he's been dealing with for generations and generations since going back to the garden, man. Okay?
The Washington Monument is an obelisk, which is actually, if we go back to Egypt, was a monument to the sun god Ra. And again, we're not saying that that's what we made it. Our founders took it and redeveloped.
What's the chances of that? They could have chose anything. They could have chose absolutely anything to pick. Why did they pick that? Why did their spirit? And it also says men's goings of the Lord. So who really made them pick it? Because the Most High knew what this place is. It's a reincarnation because other nations were in Egypt. Egypt was a hub. There was Edomites there. There was Persians there. There was Medes there. Okay, there was Persians. There was Ishmaelites there. There were all types of nations that were trading with Egypt. Egypt became a major hub. It just like when the time of Joseph, when Joseph saved and brought these other nations and made Egypt that hub, guess what? Other nations wanted to move there. Why do you think the brothers of Joseph came to Egypt? Because that's where it was popping. That's where it was at. It was the place to be at the time. So they moved their herds, they moved everything into Egypt. So other nations did the same thing, just like you have now. What was America? The promised land. Other nations, and I'll tell you this, why my parents came. The only reason I'm here knowing this truth, knowledge, and wisdom, because my parents came to America for a better life. So what do you think other nations weren't coming to America for, or other nations weren't coming to ancient Egypt for a better life? See? History repeats itself.
It, but I'm saying this is
where it
Egypt.
came from.
That's where it came from. We're just simply telling you where it came from. The Egyptian leader was called a young lion among the nations. Egypt had a 5-pointed star that represents the 5 forces of nature, and our flag has 5-pointed stars on our flag. The Statue of Liberty, which we call her Lady Liberty, was patterned similar after the Egyptian goddess Isis. The phoenix bird, which never dies but reemerges and redevelops itself, was actually the first bird representing America, and it was later changed to the eagle being, of course, an emblem of ancient Rome. Now, Bill, go back in with the people, because most people would not be aware of this.
They're attaching themselves to these things because they are them coming back in the reincarnation. Okay? So let's read this article real quick. This right here is a pretty good article that I found. It says, what? The United States and Egypt as soulmates. I found that it says soulmates. What's another name for a soul? The spirit. Okay, this is Egypt in the spirit. Okay, it says, I might shock many of our readers for me to assert that of all the countries in the world, hardly any two are more closely related than the United States and Egypt. But there are striking historical similarities between these two nations In a very broad manner, Egypt is the United States' older brother. And there are important lessons to be learned from older brother. This is certainly one of the reasons many more Americans should visit this ancient land. See, it says 5,000 years ago, the field gleaning Egypt nation grew out of primeval culture of prehistory and incubated by a land rich of natural resources, and at the same time isolated from all other cultures, grew into a world superpower. It says, for this early Egyptians in fertile northern Nile Valley was a self-contained ecosystem that provided the necessities of life. Anthropologists believe that early mankind had first met their needs that were essential for living, such as food, shelter, and clothing, prior to expanding into cultural diversity societies where governance, art, and science began to flourish. In Egypt, the Nile Valley provided these necessities and thus allowed the Egyptians from very early in their history to expand beyond their boundaries in mere existence. They became nation builders, constructing bureaucracies that often dwarfed their great monumental buildings, and their people great thinkers emerged from an environment that allowed them to become technologically superior to many, if not all, of their neighbors. Same thing you see with America, Babylon. See, likewise, the Europeans and others who settled in the new world of North America along the United States eastern coast at first were agrarians, fairly simple farmers who struggled to meet the demand of their families for food and shelter. But just as in Egypt, these early settlers soon expanded their society and, fortified by land rich in resources, grew into a superpower that it is today. It is interesting to note that on other roads to becoming superpowers, both these nations also had to confront conflicts, sometimes violent, between their northern and southern provinces. In their earliest times, both Egypt and the United States maintained a defined sentence of North and South, ultimately resulting in civil war. And even today, in both countries, of these early attributes remain. Likewise, a great river followed through both nations between these two regions. See? However, I think it's the Mississippi. You had the Nile River, and then you had the Mississippi for America. However, neither ancient Egypt nor the United States may have achieved their ultimate greatness were it not for their isolation and natural defenses against the outside world. During its formative years in the Atlantic Ocean on to the east and Pacific to the west provided protection to the United States from other world powers, while to the north their Canadian neighbors were no threat, and to the south were weaker Mexican neighbors were soon no match in terms of power. The early Egyptians also benefited from the great sand sea of the Sahara Libyan desert and to the west, and as well as more desert to the east, which shielded them from invading forces and allowed their civilization to grow mostly unabated. See, same thing. They're comparing. Their comparison of these two is bringing out the prophecy. That's why through John, when he received that vision, he told that this place was going to be called Egypt. It's a spiritual Egypt and Sodom. Their barren neighbors to the north was Mediterranean Sea, and to the south was the Nubians, were only a threat during Egyptians' most vulnerable period during its 3,000 years of panoramic history. During the remainder of that history, the Nubians were subjugated to Egyptian dominance. In fact, just as in the United States, while the political southern borders were set, many of their southern neighbors migrated into Egypt and created a much more fuzzy culture border. The combination of the beautiful superpower country rich in resources, but also isolated from the neighbors, influences both the people of Egypt and the modern United States. It was difficult for the common ancient Egyptian man to traverse the desert into the foreign land, just as today it is often prohibited expensive for a common American to fly to Europe or Asia. At the same time, there were superior laws and order at home for both nations and a beautiful domestic landscape for both people to explore and idolize. The ancient Egyptian loved their land just as modern Americans love theirs, and for many of the same reasons. Hence, both the modern United States and in ancient Egypt, there was warnings about the outside world. Egyptians saw foreign lands as chronic and basically unsafe regions and rather inferior people. Though it may be politically incorrect to make such a statement, many common Americans think in similar terms. Those attributes in both lands concerning chaos and safety likely resulted from isolation, while the feeling of superiority springs from their residence in a superpower. So that's where you get that American, that pride from. Okay, so they had it in ancient Egypt just like they have it today. You see the comparisons, it's reincarnated, man. That's all it is. It says, in fact, in ancient Egypt was a place that people migrated to, not from, just as they do to the United States today. However, just as they come to the United States today, people migrated to Egypt, just like I said prior, mostly to share in its bountiful resources rather than to escape any chaos of the outside world. Just like people are coming in from Venezuela, all these Latin countries, they're coming up to get a better life. But it says both the United States and ancient Egypt raised large, sophisticated armies, and though both sent their militaries far afield in relative terms, neither sought especially to colonize regions outside their country. Rather, most of the military actions were simple to defend and protected their borders. Sometimes by establishing parallel corridors, Egypt was seen by its ancient rulers as a paradise amongst a world that they actually ruled. So, long story short, this is going into the comparisons. We can go down here. This article has a lot of good information. Bones are in it. But the main point is to show you the comparisons from ancient Egypt to the time you see now. So that's why the vocab, he's not spiritual, man. The guy's not spiritual. We're not saying it to not all men have faith. It says in the scriptures, not all men have faith. So not all men are spiritual. That's why you need teachers. The Lord sets up men that teaches you and shepherds you through faith. All right. The elect men are the shepherds of faith. That's why the Lord is set up a shepherd. Everybody ain't a shepherd. A shepherd is a role that the Most High thought of for men to lead other men into the right path, man. Okay. This is 2 Ezra 15:11. This proves that will be another Egypt in the future, and it will be dealt with the same exact way that the ancient Egypt was dealt with, because it's that Egypt coming back again to receive those plagues. Okay. This is 2 Ezra 15:11. But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm and smite Egypt with plagues as before. See? So it says that he's going to smite Egypt with plagues as before. So it's a reincarnation thing. It's not talking about the ancient Egypt. It's talking about a brand new Egypt. And these Edomite scholars have showed you that there is a comparison. They brought that obelisk over here. They got the Washington Monument. They got the Statue of Liberty. Okay. All these things that coincide to the gods of Egypt, the ways of Egypt, the study of Egypt. All these things are coinciding with that. But all of a sudden, it's not Egypt, though, because the guy's not using his mind. This is Revelations 8:11 and verse 8. And it reads, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city. Okay, because you don't go to outside of America and say that you're a Missourianite or Missourian or Kansas Cityan or an Illinoisan. You're American. So it's a great city. So when you leave out of this country, everybody knows you from the place that you left, the landmass. Just like you had Canaanites in the scriptures, but there were Israelites that were born in the land of Canaan or born in another land of a foreign country, and they were called by that name. So the same thing, that you're called by the land of America because it is a great city. Okay? They don't change it up. They don't say you're a New Yorkan. You know, you and the thing say may say you're from America, and they may say what part of America, but you are an American. Okay? That's what you're seeing. You are an American citizen. You are belonging to the landmass of America, the great city. Read it again. And the dead body shall line the streets of the great city, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. And you see it now because the crossed out, the true identity of Yahushua has been crossed out and placed with an idol, man. Okay? That's why the Lord set us men up to go out here and push the truth, push the real knowledge, wisdom, and understanding and who Yahushua is, what he was, and what he was to the nation of Israel, man. Not to these other nations, not to these other people out here, man. Okay, so this is a quick lesson. Just wanted to jump into that. I didn't want to make it long. The point is there. This is the article if you want to take a look at it. Let me see here. Yep, this is the article, and it says the United States and Egypt as soulmates, spiritual, man. All right, so Lord willing, that a fine lesson. I'm gonna leave it there, and I'm gonna say call Allah, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakhabadash. Until next time, I say Shalom, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakhabadash. Until next time, I say Shalom. And more now than ever, keep faith.